Hi and welcome to JavaScript Developer Learning Dart. Now I'm a JavaScript developer and in my day job I write JavaScript, so I have been writing JavaScript for a very long time now. And recently I was looking at Flutter for building native apps. Now Flutter is like Google's answer to React Native. But what's interesting is that Flutter is written not in JavaScript but in Dart, and Dart is a language built by Google. So developers at Google and elsewhere use Dart to create high quality mission critical apps for iOS, Android and the web. Great. To be fair, I'm not very tempted to use Dart on the web. I'm mostly looking for using Dart for native projects. Not gonna get too much into detail around that, but I will just say that there's some reasons I don't want to use React Native. But anyway, that's not important for this video. What we want to do here is I just want to see, like, people say Dart is really similar to JavaScript, and you can see like it reads very similar, and I have done some reading around Dart, so I just want to like share with you the experience of someone who is new to the language. And on their website, so if you go to dartlang.org, they have this this playground, this code similar to, I guess you can say like this is like in JavaScript world code sandbox. So this is like code sandbox but for Dart, and we can go full screen. Full screen is nicer. Yeah, it's always nicer. Now I've written some code. I'll just get rid of that. But basically in Dart, because it's compiled language and you need to run it inside this main function here. So when you write void main, anything that's gonna, you pass inside here will be executed by the compiler. So in Dart you can do print, and print is like console log in JavaScript. So and again, like in JavaScript you can define strings, but the difference is that I don't think you can use single quotes. Let me try that. Hello from the Dart side. Okay, so hello from the Dart side. Yeah, Dart is very insistent on semicolons. Now this is something that I don't really like. I don't really like using semicolons in my code. But yeah, it seems like Dart is like really insisting on semicolons, so you need semicolons. And I think if we run that, yeah, so this runs fine. Okay, so a lot of the examples I've looked at are using double quotes, but I guess single quotes is also fine. So this is nice. I mean, like, I personally prefer to use single quotes. Not that it's important in any way, but yeah, whatever. So yeah, so this is how we can print stuff, and you can see like everything we define here, it's gonna be like printed out on the side. Now I think this thing is built in Dart for the web, and again, as I said, I'm not really interested in looking in like trying to replace JavaScript or anything. I just wanna, I have a very specific need, but for Dart, and that's like building native applications with Flutter, but still I feel like I need to know something about the language. So let's see. So in Dart you can do something like this. So I can say like hello world, and you can say hello world, and if I print that, so we can print that hello yay, yeah, we have hello world. Now this is, you know, anyone who has written like ES6, this will look like very familiar to them. Like this is, you know, just looks like JavaScript. And again, like in JavaScript, because this is a var, we can actually change the value. So I can say hello world, and I say hello again. We can run that. Oops, yeah, forget. I'm gonna do that a lot. I just, I'm not very good in writing semicolons. Yep, hello again. Yep, so we are reassigning the value. So var is, and as it is in JavaScript, you can pass a value, then you can reassign it. And Dart has const. So const is basically you cannot reassign the value, and you can see like it's already kicking in, like the linter. I don't know. It's probably, there might be a different word in Dart for that, but I'm just gonna call it linter because this is what we use in JavaScript. And the linter is already kicking in, and it's saying me constant variables cannot be assigned a value. So this is wrong, but I will just run it anyway. And you see like the compiler will like complain and will say like this is wrong, you can't really do that. So I need like to, if I remove that, yeah, and now everything is running fine. So yeah, const is again similar to JavaScript, so nothing new here. Now Dart has something called final, and this is really something that I'm not quite sure I get. Like final is something as const, so final is const, but final, you know, like final is acting as a const, but you cannot reassign that. And I really would like to. So for example, if I say hello world, you know, and again I say hello again, this will not work. So yeah, you can no. So the compiler is not complaining, but it will throw an error. And I think this is the idea of final. I think that the final is evaluated during runtime. So final will, I think if we say, can you say another final? So if I say final, is that the idea? No. I was thinking like you can reassign it on runtime. Anyway, yeah. So final is like a const that has been evaluated during runtime. And again, like I need to do more research on that. But for now, all you need to know is that this is available. It's there, and you can pass it around. I'm planning to write some actual code eventually, so we can see what final does there. But for now, let's focus on the basics. And as you can see, like those are the ways you can like define stuff inside Dart. It's really similar to JavaScript. Nothing different there. And what's different in JavaScript though is that Dart is strongly typed, and as you already saw, like we didn't pass any actual types to those values, but you can actually pass values. So you can actually do things like string, and then I can say hello world and hello world again, and this is basically means like hello world is a string, and when I run it, it's gonna say hello world. Now if I try to assign a number to hello world, I'm gonna get into trouble. Yeah, you can see like it's already kicking in, there is an error, and you know everything is red, but I'm just gonna run it anyway. Yeah, so you cannot reassign this, and I think you cannot say, you know, yeah, you can see like variables can be declared using both var and type name. So vars, I guess the idea is that var can like be dynamic. So, you know, like there is actually a dynamic type, but I will get to that later. Things like var, it's just, you cannot pass var, but it's okay to pass like const. And like a const can actually have a type, and you can say like this const is a string, which makes sense because, you know, I'm not quite sure why var you cannot do this with var. Maybe something to check. Yeah, so this is fine. I think if you say final, this also will be okay. As far as I can understand, like final is a slightly different implementation of const. I guess that's useful in the language, but I'm still too new for to know why. And there are like a couple of standard types, very standard types. In every language, you're gonna have those types. So that's the string, and you can have int, which is a number, and you can also have double, and double is a floating number. So you can say like something like 0.5, and that's gonna be double. And you can also and another type is list. So list is what array is in JavaScript, and you can say like list, and you can say this is gonna be list of strings, and not strings, sorry, a string. And I can say like an array. Again, the syntax is pretty much the same as JavaScript, a lot of similarities. And here I can say like one, or let's say first element, and second element. So this is a list of strings, and I think you don't need to pass, so you can just say list array, and this will be fine. But you can also like say what type is going to be each of your elements inside the array, which is useful. And finally, you have the dynamic type. So the dynamic type can be, everything. So the idea is that if it's dynamic, you can, you can just, it can be like a string, it can be, be a number. So the dynamic type, like Dart, the compiler will try to figure out what the type is. So I guess it's basically similar, like if you don't pass the type, but for example here we can say like this is a dynamic type, and we can have one element as a string and another as a number. That will be fine. Now I want to print all those, and in JavaScript you can do like something like hello world, and then you can console log. No, actually that's bollocks. You cannot console log, but print accepts in Dart accepts just one argument. So I cannot say like console log this. I think this will throw. Yeah, this is, you cannot like print accepts just one argument, so it's not in console log. It's not the same as in JavaScript, and I can do like print all of those things, and this will work. So I can say like print number and print all the other things. But actually what you can do, and again this is like very similar to JavaScript, you can actually do that as a string, and inside here you can say string. And you can use $sign and curly brackets, and you can pass in your variables inside the string. And like this is exactly the same way you're gonna do it. Well, not quite exactly, but this is very similar to how you're gonna do it in ECMAScript 6, ES6, like the latest version of JavaScript. In JavaScript, you're gonna do that with backticks. Actually, I don't know. Will that work? No, you cannot do backticks. Yeah, you can use single quotes. Yeah, let me undo that. But yeah, in JavaScript you're gonna do backticks, and here you can do this. Actually, yeah, and I think it's no. Yeah, that's fine. And I can, you know, do int number, and then float is gonna be float. Yeah, you get the idea. You get the idea what I'm trying to do. Array is gonna be array. Yeah, so as you can see, like each of those translates to like a string, integer, float, and array. Now in JavaScript you can't do that. Like to do that in JavaScript you'll need something like the TypeScript or float. Oh, not float, sorry, flow. But Dart is statically typed, so it comes in with all those types built in out of the box, so you don't need to worry about it. Now this is nice because like if you're building a big project, you can pass the types, and you know people can know what actually what type each of those is. So this is nice for big projects. Yeah, if I run this, yeah, this will not work. Okay, so no name parameter with the name string. Okay, so I guess you cannot do new line. I think you need to do like this. What have I done? Yeah, I think you cannot. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I think you cannot do new lines. So this is again different. Like in JavaScript, if you do the backticks, you can do new lines, but here you can't. I guess you can do new line with maybe, I don't know. Let me try this. Yeah, so I need to check what's the deal with those new lines is, but yeah, so you can do this in Dart and it will work fine, but you cannot like do it in the same way in JavaScript where you can do like the backticks and you can add new line and all that. And yeah, this is it. So those are the basic types. And again, like if you don't want to, for some reason you don't want to like pass those, you can just you don't need to do it. So Dart will try to figure out the type for you. And again, this is nice because it's kind of different than with a lot of other statically typed languages, like for example Java, where you always like need to add the type and things can get like really verbose on the screen, and you know can get a little bit hard to read and a little bit like heavy on the eyes. But yeah, I think that's a good approach. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't done any big or even like small projects for that matter. So I don't know. We will see about that. So those are the basic types, and now we're gonna look at something a little bit more exciting. That's functions. Now Dart treats functions the same way as JavaScript treats them as a first-class citizens. So yeah, so JavaScripts are like first-class JavaScript object. So in JavaScript, functions are first-class objects, and it's the same in Dart. Now Dart, similarly to JavaScript, has lambdas. I'll just really say that really simple and just say like lambdas are unnamed functions. Again, like it's massive, oversimplification, but I don't want to go into that now. But basically, we should be able to do this. So this is the way you define a function, by the way. So if I want to define a function, I will do curly brackets. I will do brackets and then curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets, I can write my stuff. So I can say print, and I'm inside a function here, and this okay, so semicolons. Oh, okay, yeah, so I guess this is why you need the double brackets, so you can do like this. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna look into that now, just gonna try to run that. Okay, so that's not running, and the reason is we are defining our function, but we haven't actually called it. And you probably know that you can do something like this in JavaScript. So this is like a self-invoking function. So when the compiler goes through that, it will just like run that function. So we'll just like run it. And this works in JavaScript. Let's see if it's gonna work in Dart. Yeah, it works. Again, quite the same as JavaScript. You can just invoke functions like adding brackets at the end. That's nice. That's cool. I guess we can even do something like this. So I can say I'm passing a string to this function, and I can pass this, and here I'm gonna print that string. This is okay. Yeah, can run that. Cool. I'm inside a function. Nice. So yeah, that's functions for you guys. It's just similar to JavaScript, not quite the same. We don't have like the arrow functions, or we don't need to say like function, the good old days. So you don't have that in Dart. It's kind of a little bit cleaner this way. Although, actually, something interesting is that actually you don't need to do that. So I'm just gonna comment out this, and this is a comment. Again, very similar to JavaScript. It's a common theme. Like I've said that like I don't know 100 times already, but Dart is really similar to JavaScript. So I'm sure you get that. But what you can do is you can do this. So I can do this, and I can say this accepts the string and returns a string. No, actually, does not return. It returns a print. It's printing string. And I don't know if that's gonna work. Let me try that out and see if we are okay doing this. Might be. Okay, so I guess you need no, so you cannot do this. Okay, so I don't think we can do this. As you can see, the expression doesn't evaluate to a function, so it can't be invoked. Okay, so we can't really do this. Here has a type of void and therefore cannot be used. has a type of void. I think I know what I can do. No, okay, so we cannot do this, but so you cannot do this, but you can do this. Ghost function. You can actually do this. I know you can do this because I've seen it. And here I can say like function. Yeah, so you can see I'm defining function as a const, which name is function fn, and it accepts a string and it prints the string, and here I'm calling the function with this string. So again, like this is like in JavaScript where you're gonna use the fat arrow function. Let's run that, see if that's gonna run. No. Method invocation is not a constant expression. I think you can't do this, so you need to do var, and this will be okay. Yeah, so this is fine. Basically what it's saying is like it accepts a string, and I think it expects to like return a string, so just the compiler doesn't know exactly what we're trying to do here. So if you use var, this will be like it's just gonna treat it like whatever, just gonna do that. I'm not quite sure you can do that. Can you do that with final? Let's try with final. Will that be okay with final? Yeah, so that's interesting. So you can do that with final and with var, but you cannot do it with const. Not quite sure why. But yeah, you can see like you can do like fat arrow functions, and that's again like anyone who has written ECMAScript 6 know that this is exactly, it looks like exactly the same, well, except the final world. But if we do like if we do var here, it's funny because it looks like JavaScript, but in JavaScript this will be let now. It will not be, in the current form of JavaScript, it will be let, it will not be var. In the old world, you can do var will be the word that you're gonna use, but then like in the old JavaScript you don't have fat arrow functions. Whatever, JavaScript, it's fun. But yeah, so you have fat arrow functions, and something that I don't think you can do in Dart is you need to have the brackets. Now in JavaScript you don't need to, like if you have a single param, you don't need to do the brackets, but here you have to. So you always need the brackets, even if you have just one argument inside that function. Yeah, so that's functions. You can see like like self-invoking function, and this is like a fat arrow function. And again, like I'm just scratching the service here, so I'm not quite sure. Like I think you can like pass, so here I can say string, like you can actually type what you're expecting. So this expects the string, and this will run fine. Now I'm inside a function, will run fine, but if I like pass a number, this will fail because like this function accepts string. Yeah, like the linting is already kicking in, and you can see it's saying like the argument int, the argument cannot be integer. So like this is what a strongly typed language does for you. It makes you a little bit, it makes your code a little bit safer, which is nice. I think eventually we're gonna end up with some sort of type system inside JavaScript. For now you can use TypeScript or Flow, but yeah, we don't have it yet built in the language. Yeah, so that's it. I'm just gonna wrap up here, and we're gonna do the next session where I will check what the void word is and how that works. And the next time we're gonna look at classes, which, since Dart is object oriented, will be interesting. But yeah, so those are basic basic types and inside Dart and basic functions from a JavaScript developer. If you're a JavaScript developer and if you are looking into Dart for whatever reason, hope that was useful. If you are a Dart expert and want to help me, I will be, every help will be much appreciated. So thank you for that and see you next time. Bye.